Call the meeting of the Warrant and Finance Committee to order. And apparently we have two members missing, Holly and Debbie. So, but I don't know, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but I'm still going round and round. My own mind trying to figure out for the bus back. So the first thing, I guess, order of business tonight ought to be to go over the minutes of the meeting.
You want to, Mr. Chairman, do you want to designate an alternate over for me? Because I'm not, like I said, not going to.
Oh, I don't think we're going to be doing that much tonight.
Well, that's true, probably. I think we're all exhausted from it, or at least I am.
Well, no, but it's a,
Okay.
Our alternates would be voting in.
Was that all the alternates, yeah.
does anybody say, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, there's,
Only 6.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we're 6 of us.
Okay, so everybody's a voting member then.
Yeah. You can't sneak out on us because you are a voting member tonight.
I'm going to sneak out, believe me.
Okay.
I understand, would you like me to read the minutes, or?
No, we're on page 2 of 2. 1, 2, 3, fourth line at the conclusion of discussion, Mrs. Rumer made a motion on Articles 19 to 25 as follows. WNF
Page
recommends the accounts be created.
right.
Where is this?
Right here.
Oh. At the conclusion of the discussion, Mr. Roman made a motion that follows. Accounts be,
Created.
created, okay. Yep, see it. Yep.
There was one other one, but this is printed so small I can't find it as easily. Oh, I think I marked it. No, I didn't. Copy, I've left it home. Oh, no, I didn't. I was wondering for clarity, 18 designated, at the top of the second page, second sentence, new reserve account, I guess that should be accounts,
Counts, yes, it should be, yes.
Yeah,
are proposed to be funded from the undesignated fund balance. Should that be the school undesignated fund
There is no
balance?
school undesignated fund balance any more than there is any other. There's one undesignated fund balance, basically. I left that
All right.
arbitrary because what has happened over the years is we had a law in place that said if the money had been appropriated for school use, it had to be used for schools. And that got referred to over the years as the school's undesignated fund balance. I think that may have vaporized, but I'm not sure of that. But in any case, from the point of view of, it's a division within one undesignated fund balance. And if they want to keep track of it upstairs, that's fine, but there's really only one.
I dispute.
You disagree?
Okay.
Okay.
If you look at the audit report,
Yep.
and the town audit report, and the town's undesignated fund balance
Yep.
is X number of dollars.
Right,
And then it'll say designated,
yep,
and if you turn around and look at what the designated is, it's gonna include the school's undesignated fund balance.
okay, all right.
So they differentiate it right
In
there.
accounting, okay. I can insert that if you would prefer.
Say,
Okay,
Money's- And I wondered whether I should.
all right, on that other paragraph, at the conclusion of discussion, Mrs. Ruma made a motion, etc. Since the motion was not seconded, discussion ensued and a vote was called for. I assume at some point somebody seconded that. Huh?
Watch that tape over and over again. went right into discussion from there. It doesn't matter, it's immaterial at this point, but I watched it over and over and over again, trying to find somebody, and there was no, I mean, we jumped into a discussion, and then we took the vote, and, you know, for all intents and purposes, the only purpose of the second is to see if there's anybody who supports the position first, to get it on the floor, so.
Okay, that's fine.
But there is-
Tom said that he seconded it.
I thought I did.
Well, I think if you look at the tape, you'll find it. He did second
You
some.
may not have heard it, Tom's got a very low voice.
I was.
What?
I read it over and over and over again, it wasn't, I was watching him because I thought,
Okay.
but I can insert it if you prefer. Would you prefer to have seconded it, Tom?
Yes.
You would prefer to have seconded it, okay.
Just a
Which one is this?
tiny.
Motion was not seconded. Tom Cashin seconded. Okay, you agree to be put in that position?
Sure.
Okay,
Holy cow.
what? What?
I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine. Okay, and Will has added some wording here, which I really like, and I haven't gone over the rest of it, and he called me this morning, and I wasn't in a position to do anything with it, and I wanted to go back to bed anyway. But let me see if we can insert this, because I think it's quite good. It's actually wording that I was looking for when I was drafting this, and I didn't get to it. But it goes at the beginning of well, I don't know what it's specifically Warrant and Finance. Oh, recognizing. Okay, hang on a second. Let me say. Oh, the second paragraph on the top page, where it starts specifically, I think what Will is suggesting is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Will, that we insert before that specifically the following wording specifically, maybe in place, specifically Warrant and Finance recognizes that there are conflicting opinions re how monies are released from such designated accounts once the need for release is recognized. The school committee's opinion is, so I assume, Will, that you would suggest that I replace what I've written. I don't have a problem with that at all. Does anybody have a problem with that? That's a much softer way of saying it.
So
Okay.
run that by me again.
Okay. Where I start out specifically, we replace that with specifically Warrant and Finance members recognize that there are conflicting opinions regarding how monies can be released from such designated funds once the need for release is recognized. The school committee's opinion is that once such funds are approved and funded by the voters, specific repeat action by the voters is unnecessary at the time of disposal. I'd probably change that repeat action to motion by the town meeting, so we're very specific about that. And I don't think you have a problem with that. So that's what Will is suggesting in there for my specific. Does anybody have a problem with that?
And how much does that replace? The whole thing?
No.
Just the first,
Just the first introductory sentence.
okay,
Or-
that's fine.
And then we go on to assist.
Yeah.
Okay? So we would replace that. And he's got a couple other suggestions here too, which I really haven't had a chance to look at. And it does agree with this one, I know I like. Two.
Well, why don't you turn around and get those written up
Yeah.
so that we can all look at it?
Yeah.
And we'll,
All right. What I,
Come
what I,
back with the,
okay. What I would like to,
draft.
what I would like to do tonight very specifically is go through the motions, the recommendations of the Warrant and Finance Committee and make sure that everybody agrees with those. Okay, and they're laid out here. After a colon, it says Warrant and Finance recommends.
Yeah.
On Articles 2 through 12, Warrant and Finance recommends the same sum recommended by the school committee on each of Articles 2 through 12.
Yeah.
Motion was seconded by Tom Cashman, carried unanimously. Everybody agrees with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can give that to Jennifer. All right, moving on. Article 13. Let's see. During the course of the discussion, okay. Mark Lowell made a motion that Warrant and Finance raise 3128593.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I had the comment, but I'm not putting that in there, that no recommendation of minimum appropriation was made. Now, if you go back and read the article, it asks two questions.
Yeah, that bothers me there.
Do you want to just insert something to the effect that we have a minimum appropriation, and insert the number for the minimum appropriation, because that's in the article? Excuse us. Okay? The minimum appropriation required is the minimum appropriation required is 3128593. No, the minimum appropriation required is 3432619. The minimum to be raised is 3128593, according to the EPS formula. Can I just insert an additional sentence there? The Warrant and Finance Committee recommends raising.
The thing here, one of the things we're gonna have to, I'd like to do with the whole committee, okay, is just go over and remind everybody some of the basic rules of the financial part here. One is that everything has to be appropriated, okay?
Or authorized expenditure of.
Well, as I say, how you appropriate means to authorize. And to, all the expenses need to be appropriated, and all the revenues need to be appropriated. So, on the expenses, you generally would say raise and appropriate, which, you have the word appropriate in there. Raise is how you're gonna pay for it. I think that's why, was it, Tom, the wording you wanted, about appropriating that other number that we left out?
I'm going to read you right now the recommended alteration that I would make, okay? Warrant and Finance, and this would be to Article 13. Warrant and Finance recommends raising 3128593 and appropriating 3432619, and that's it, okay? And it doesn't try to explain any of that, it just says it. Those are the minimum raising as calculated by the commissioner, and the minimum appropriations as calculated.
And those are the state figures.
Those are the state figures, right? They have virtually nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
But, and they're calculated in space.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
So if somebody would like to make a motion to reconsider that recommendation, we'll do it.
You mean to amend it as you just suggested?
You have to, first of all, you have to reconsider it.
All right,
I'll move to reconsider it.
second.
They moved and seconded to reconsider Article, was it 13?
Our recommendation on Article 13.
And I would make a second motion that we,
Well, let's say,
okay, so
all those in favor of reconsideration?
Okay.
I'd make a second motion that we amend the article to read as
No,
Tom.
we're not amending
The
the article.
recommendation.
The recommendation.
Excuse me, where, I lost it then.
Oh, do you want me to make the recommendation since I made the motion and the...
Sure. You want me to show you? I think, but let's get it. We'll get it on tape. Pass it over.
This is Article 13. Warrant and Finance Committee recommends raising $3,128,593 and appropriating $343,000.
No, 3,430,000.
$3,432,619.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Get that all clear well?
Taking it all in.
All okay, all those in favor of the motion? All those opposed?
Let me make a few notes here. We will reconsider.
Now, I have going on down, since this is the paragraph, since the stated purpose of the above referenced letter did not respond directly to the difference of opinion, and since there is no provision in Title 3A preventing the formation of other types of reserve accounts, it is possible that other statutes support and enable the opinion of the school committee. Warrant and Finance understands that the school board will seek additional opinion from Drummond and Woodson. Did they seek it, and have they let us know?
We do not know because she was out today when I went over. She was out sick.
It'll take a little
I
while.
was hoping to get the answer for the meeting tonight.
Oh, I don't think they'd have it. I think it's gonna take them a couple of weeks, I think. But we'll see. With respect to that, though, well, let's go on and do the rest of this, so. Article 14, the Warrant and Finance recommends the town raise and appropriate 1662450 in excess of the essentials programs and services. Minimum to cover the costs of kindergarten, school nutrition program, high school student transportation, and other programs and services not included in the EPS model. And that's what I wrote down as the motion.
That's clear.
Okay, everybody's okay with that?
And Nancy second.
Yep, that's what it says. Yep. Okay, moving on to Article 15, Warrant and Finance recommends that the Acton School Department be authorized to expend 5220860, this being the total appropriated in Articles 2 through 12.
Okay.
Another state mandated article.
Yep.
Okay, everybody agrees with that?
Yep.
All right. Article 16. Warrant and Finance recommends that the school committee be authorized to expend the sums described in the article. Okay, and that is, that's nutrition, right? Or no, that's federal and state reserve money. 16. No, grants and stuff like that, okay. Yeah, okay. What did I do, just 16?
Yep, you're gonna do
Okay.
17.
Everybody's okay with 16?
Yeah.
Okay, 17, Warrant and Finance recommends appropriation of the monies described, oh, there's that monies, Will, that you didn't like. Described in the article.
Which article are you talking about now?
17.
17. And 17 is Title 2A, Title 1A, local entitlement, small rural school, preschool, and proficiency-based learning. In other words, all,
All we need is an affirmative vote on that.
right, yep.
So,
Want to leave it? Okay. Okay, and then we go on to Articles 19 through, and everybody knows what we did there. I don't think that's an issue. The only thing that I point out, I think, in the minutes is that I still think we have a conflict with respect to the state mandated articles and these other articles if the school's opinion prevails, because very clearly the article school article number 15 says that this is the total sum the Acton School is authorized to expend, and what they give there is 5220. And if for some reason there's a provision that provides for them to expend those other funds, then this is wrong. Everybody needs to understand that, right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
I have a major problem, and I don't really understand how come nobody's picked it up. And if you notice that, just ahead of Articles 19 through 25, there's a statement on each one. This is Article, we say, 19 authorizes a transfer to and expenditure from. This is not a valid statement as far as I'm concerned.
Well, also, it doesn't belong, I don't think, on the warrant, but I think that's an issue for the town clerk.
It is on the warrant.
I know it's on the warrant.
But what I'd like to point out, okay, it gives the voters that are gonna be voting on this, you know, the idea that it authorizes the expenditure.
Right,
And it doesn't.
right. And if you read the articles, they don't mention expenditure.
Right.
So there's a conflict there.
So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to school administration, and I talked to Jennifer, and I think that those notes should be taken out.
I agree 100% with you, and I think Jennifer would. I think Jennifer will find those improper, and I may make a note on that too.
Well,
Inclusion of editorial comment is very restricted on ballots.
also, there is no tuition reserve and assistive technology fund as of yet.
No, that's why the article
Yeah.
says to create it,
Right,
and your motion says to create it.
right.
Right.
Yeah, so it should just be Article 19.
But,
Yes, I
you
agree.
know, every one of these.
Yeah, right.
So I'll be discussing that tomorrow with the school administration.
Well, school administration, but Jennifer's the key one, because she knows what the requirements are for ballots, I think, ultimately.
Well-
And she's pretty tough,
She didn't say anything yet.
I know.
I talked to her this morning.
Okay, all right. I will, the only thing I'm going to do further on this is take it to, when we get to the floor of the town meeting, I'm gonna say, here's what's going on if we don't have an answer. Or this is what
I don't
we
see-
understand today.
I don't see how Warrant and Finance, until these questions are answered, I certainly don't want to say that I go along with this stuff.
All we're voting on is the articles. Well, and that's what we're doing, we're making recommendations on the articles now. I agree with you, I agree with you, Mark, if I had to sign this warrant, okay, which the selectmen have to do, I would have a concern, okay? And I would want to make sure that the wording and stuff that's on there, it's okay, and I'm not sure that it is, I may be wrong, but Jennifer's the one technically who is responsible for assuring the integrity of the ballot. And see, here we are into this conflict again about having hired people as opposed to elected people in office. But, right. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that on tape. I've said it now.
So, okay.
All right, I'm happy, and if you all will excuse me, and if
So,
somebody.
okay, shouldn't be another 10 minutes, we're not gonna be
Okay.
dragging anything out.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out if anybody had any other recommendations on the solid waste.
Yes. Well, I went through it, and, if I can find it. Unacceptable waste,
Okay,
and in it,
what page, John?
2.
Oh, yeah, page 2 now.
I had it, where is it? it was somewhere in here it said that stumps were unacceptable waste. And then you go back on page, well, let's see,
I'm not sure.
I don't remember that.
I don't.
section 1315. The caretaker attendance under the supervision of the transfer station manager. And talks about where they can dump the stuff, and they have stumps listed as acceptable. Now, either they're not acceptable or they are acceptable.
Well, I think that down there, they've got a provision that sort of gives them some wiggle room. It says, the selectmen may change the above list.
Okay, now, wait a minute, you gotta put it in context here. This is about the collection facility, and we're turning around and talking about the compactor. Okay? And these are things that they do not want in the compactor.
Yeah, collection facility is defined as the compactor there, right?
Right. And you could probably bring the stumps to the
Yep.
brush part of it, but not the compactor.
Jamie, they accept stumps up there? I've got a big one in my front yard that I'm gonna make a planter out of because I can't even move it with a tractor.
Well, I think you ought to make a decorative
Think out of that?
thing out of it, yeah.
Okay, I understand that, this is gonna be pulled and, put on the June town meeting. That's unofficial,
What's gonna be called?
this ordinance.
It's not going to be on the June town meeting? Or-
Yeah, it's gonna be on the June town.
Oh, okay,
and Not
okay,
the
okay,
April town.
that makes sense, that's good, okay, it's gonna be pulled.
Oh, I see, tree
Okay, so-
stumps is on
okay.
page
Yeah.
4, Mark.
So we don't have to work on it tonight. Not ready for prime time.
No, I just thought while we're here, if anybody's got any other, comments.
Well, I sent you the ones that I had this morning, right? You got those?
With that?
You got those this morning that I sent you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they've got waste oil, and they do have a waste oil collection capabilities, so. And they'll take box springs, bed springs, and mattress, but again, this is just the compactor, I think. Right.
so, our selectman liaison is not here to verify whether they intend to pull it or not, but, I'll check with, verify tomorrow.
And what was the reason for wanting to pull it?
I think because there's no great,
Urgency.
Urgency to it.
so, I'll give people a chance to take a second look at it. And,
I do think your remarks about the stuff that's included on that warrant are very appropriate. My focus has not been on that, I've been focused on the articles, but I think it was good to push that point and check on it.
Richard, we were gonna make some scheduling notices for upcoming meetings.
yeah, that's the other thing that I'd like to just toss around is,
I had one.
I was hoping again that the, selectmen liaison will be here to give us some goals to shoot for here. All I have is I think a May 28th date to have a public hearing. No, that's the date, wait a minute. Yeah, May 28th, the warrant must be signed and posted. On May 9th, they're having a public hearing on the articles to take place on them before this date. I don't really understand what that means. So,
Well, that's a drop dead for the public hearings, I guess.
okay,
Yeah, that's gonna be
May
April
9th.
28th.
May
The warrant is gonna be signed before May 28th.
why?
Have posted,
7 days?
no, 14 days, isn't it?
Absentee ballots are going out on May, are eligible on May 9th, are they not? There has to be a warrant before there's a ballot.
Yeah, there has to be a warrant for us to vote on, discuss. I mean, we're sitting here, you know, we have all these issues, and we have really no idea what they're actually going to physically propose. I mean, I got a lot of ideas going through my head, but,
So I'll be touching base with Jen and the selectmen to see if we come up with their schedule.
yeah, their schedule, make sure it's their schedule, don't say, don't commit us to it, but we gotta do what we gotta do it right.
So, but as they, you know, so we've essentially got the whole month of April here, whether we want to meet every Monday night and, you know, pick out.
Yeah.
I'll
I
turn
will.
out and as the information comes. Now, we haven't even seen the articles.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but we can be gathering some information. I did talk with Peter today, and I talked with Jenny a couple days ago, and both of them are anxious to talk with us. They both believe that we very definitely need an ordinance that, they're not, that they need to share their thoughts, and they're not quite sure they've had the opportunity to do that.
I think they're very important that we talk to them.
I think it is too.
Yeah, but I'd say, you know, that particular evening would probably schedule that'd be the topic. of
The topic,
agenda.
sure,
Right,
absolutely.
sure, I would think so too.
So we
Yeah.
can,
Have a sharing of ideas.
Can we do that in a week's time? Next Monday?
I think in order to get someplace on this, we're going to have two at a minimum meetings on this, and maybe 3. But I think we need to get what their thinking is before us, and I think that's a pile right there. We're gonna have to act on an article, presumably at some point in time, or on a series of articles. We certainly can't do that next week, but we can be gathering raw information.
Right,
We
So
know very-
some of the
Well-
preliminary meetings will be to discuss
Right.
what we don't know and what
Right.
we need,
Right.
whatnot.
Right, and I have made a point to Jen, and to try and stay out of the administrative end of this. I mean, she's an EMT, she shouldn't be carrying the whole burden, okay? That winds up in messes like you have in Lebanon right now. She needs to focus on what she does and what she's good at, and not try to cover up for the stuff that everybody else has fallen by the wayside on. That only gets you in trouble.
She's the only one that
Right,
has some of
I
this
know,
information.
I know. Well, where she has it, and yeah, where she has it, I don't have a problem with that, but I sometimes it gets to the point where you're assuming that she has it, or she should have it, or,
Well, let's say she gives some,
yeah, to the extent that she's able to, but she shouldn't be the one out there doing the legwork for this. She should be focused on her job, which is running that ambulance and taking care of her people.
But the other thing, the head of the ambulance association brought up another whole thing that nobody even talked about. Am I right in what he said, that you have to get the Attorney General's permission
he's got
to
that.
shut that down?
He's already has that.
That's not.
He has that.
Yeah, that's not.
right, and he said that had been done.
They have the corporation.
There is draft wording I've seen floating around somewhere for this proposal, right? I mean, we could.
No.
No,
I thought there
there
was.
is no.
There is no proposal.
One of the problems that I have, and I think Tom would agree, is that there's some other alternatives that should be explored.
Yeah.
And to throw out that all of a sudden the only way this is gonna fly is to hire all these full-time people and have a $400 and some odd $1,000 increase in the budget. I think there's some other alternatives. And some of this came out from the information that was provided us.
Well, let's dig into this starting next month. It's gonna take a while to get through.
So as I say, if we had him here, we say like next Monday, we could ask some of these questions and see what,
And share some ideas with them and see what
Yeah.
their thoughts are. I think we very much need to do that. I'll leave it at that for right
Well, then, do you want to meet with them this coming Monday? Is that enough notice for them?
now. A week from
The 6th?
Monday. Well, I would suggest that the chairman get a hold of them and ask them if they can make that meeting. And we'll go from there. And
Because if they can, we should do it.
Well, I think we
well,
should.
just start exploring
Yeah.
and some of these, get the questions out and so that
The other one is the salt shed. We have no idea what they're doing there, and as I said yesterday, the problem with the salt shed is not the 50 pounds per square foot of snow that's on the roof, it's the 250 or 2,500 pounds per square foot of sand and salt that you pile on the floor that causes the soil to sink underneath it.
Yeah.
And if we don't know what we have down there for bearing capacity, we could do the same thing all over again.
You're absolutely right.
Right, and that's all sediment, that's all sedimentary
Yeah.
down there, and, you can go out bid and get the superstructure, and what goes underneath the ground will cost you just as much as what's coming up above. I've dealt with a few of those over on the
Besides
coast.
which, it's a fairly ecologically sensitive situation. It's uphill
Yeah.
from the school drinking supply. And as far as I know, water runs downhill.
We don't even know if we have a suitable site, that's the reality.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if in fact it's upstream of the school's water supply, then that's going to have to be found out before you start putting another.
Salt shed, yeah. I don't know that that's been an issue, I thought it was considered before, but I'm not sure it was.
I have brought it up and, that's not a problem. DEP says so.
Oh, okay.
They said it wasn't a problem because they had done studies already?
I beg your pardon?
I said, they said it was not a problem because someone has done some studies on it?
DEP.
DEP has?
Yes.
Okay.
they're the,
Department of Environmental
Yeah.
Protection. I think well knows.
I'm not real comfortable with that. And we do know the history of those soils over there.
Right.
It was a problem before, and it's gonna be a problem again, and an RFP is certainly not gonna determine any kind of suitability.
No, because they're not gonna
Of the
spend any
site.
money on
Of
site
course they're not.
exploration
Of
before
course
they.
they're not.
And typically what happens in that scenario is you get the RFP with all kinds of exceptions in it. Then you bid based on price, and then when they get on site, they say, oh, guys, guess what? And now,
Exactly.
one of two things happens. They either go ahead and build anyway, or project comes to a screeching halt, you go out and re-engineer all over again,
Yeah,
which you
Yes.
pay extra for, as soon as that happens.
of course.
So that's what I meant by bidding the omissions in the bid, because that's a very common practice for anybody who's worked in the construction industry. If you don't get it in the bid,
Yep,
people see it as a big hole for an add-on.
yep.
but this is one of the things we need to do is collectively come up with the questions that are bothering,
Yeah.
various members, and so we can put them down and then put them out there, and then schedule somebody to come in and start providing some answers.
Yeah.
Because it isn't just like
It doesn't, who are you gonna get answers from?
a,
The road commissioner said that, they didn't have any ideas, they were just starting to look at buildings, and the selectmen were gonna wait until they had their RFPs in and see what somebody,
Frankly, it's a little late in the
Probably
season to think
fly.
about getting something up for this fall, but.
Well,
but this is the sort of thing where I think a committee should be established, and then the committee members can turn around and they're not tied down to, being out sanding roads or plowing roads or repairing roads or whatnot and everything. They have the time, and then they can turn around and go look at various things that's going on, very towns, like Mark mentioned, somebody, committee can take a run over
Right,
to
Rochester.
Rochester and take a look at that, talk to those people.
yeah, Well,
Right,
like, you
Rochester.
do have a road committee as far as I know.
Yes, we have a road committee.
Which hasn't met?
Pardon?
Which has not met for a long time?
Well, the other question that I have, I've only gotten some of this stuff secondhand, but I was told by somebody that when the cement supposedly dropped originally, and they discovered that it was on top of a stump dump, they had established a line on the cement, and they was, once a year, they were supposed to shoot grades to see if the cement moved down anymore. And since then I've heard, well, it never moved, or, well, they never shot the grades, so they don't know, and, you know.
Point is, it moves every year, Mark, as soon as you load that building up, you bottom it out. It's a classic way of compacting a site that doesn't have adequate bearing capacity for light buildings. All you do is pile soil on it, leave it there for a year, 6 months or whatever. And that's what's happened there. So every year, you take that and drop it, and then slowly it comes up again, and it doesn't come up all the way to where it was, and it just cycles over and over and over again. And the key to the problem here is that the effect changes over the site, okay? If it was uniform around the whole site, it would be fine for the building, but it's not uniform behavior of the soils in there. And
So, before we do anything down there, you're gonna have to do a soil study.
Right.
Because until you know, maybe there's more stumps where you wanna put the new building.
Of course.
Very well. Yep.
Well, there are old stream beds through there too, you know, there's, that all is a washout area, I think, from a glacier, so there could be anything in there, you know.
Actually, where the town goofed up is when the property next door was up for sale 2 years ago, foreclosure basis, then they could have turned around, that was a bargain
Yeah.
deal. And that was all, because that, they had been
Yeah, they
big gravel
knocked it
bank
down.
there, and they took that, so that's all, we know that is all solid over there.
But I don't see how they can possibly think that they're gonna have a new salt shed by next fall.
No,
No, and
no,
they
they're
know
not
that.
going to.
They
They figure
know.
that if the town makes a movement by appropriating the funds for it, the insurance company will say, fine, you know, we know you're trying to fix this problem, we'll take care of you for 1 more year.
No.
Can you get insurance from
No.
someone else? Liability insurance?
Well, there's another problem too, and this, you may remember that it was the worst mistake I ever made as chairman of the board, was getting involved in that project from an engineering perspective versus chairman of the board. But we did have an outside engineer come in and tell us that the building was not safe, and that's way back in 2004. All right, and that was Allied Engineers out of Gorham, I think. So, you know, we're knowledgeable of the situation, haven't done anything with it for a long time, and it's not a good position to be in. And, but having said that, that's
Yeah, we're not gonna solve that one tonight.
right.
So we got the salt shed that we're looking for more information on, and the merger with the ambulance.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody that Thursday evening, there's the Ambulance Association, there's a turnaround, their annual meeting, and they're electing any new directors that may be interested.
Where's it being held?
Over in the public safety building.
Fire department?
Yeah,
Thursday?
yeah.
The second,
Oh, 7?
No, I think it's the 6 or 6:30.
this coming
Yeah,
Thursday, the
yeah.
2nd of
The
April.
2nd of April.
Yeah.
Well, I'm better, I'll try and make it, but I don't know.
Do we have the copy of the Department of Environmental Protection evaluation as far as water is concerned?
No,
No. Has it been a long time ago?
oh, yeah, it would be a long time ago.
So in contacting Augusta, we would not be able to get a copy of it?
The school's water is tested every
I-
month. That's public water supply. That has to be, I'm quite sure it's every month. And Andy would have that. But as to what's happening over on the site,
I don't know, I think you'd have to contact Ted and find out, because I did ask him about that. He said, oh, the DP did not have a problem with it, so that's what I was told.
always going on well.
Just to
So, oh, yeah,
bring the board up to date about the referendum ballot that's proposed for a June 9th vote on Tuesday preceding town meeting. The board met on the 19th of March and voted to advertise for two meetings. One in April 16th and another official meeting on April 30th. When the request was made to fund that April 16th meeting, it was denied. The advertising was not permitted. So at this coming meeting on Thursday, we're going to review that situation and try to just move forward with that recommendation and somehow or other fund it out of our own pockets or something, but I don't know quite what's happening there.
this is for a referendum article to change the zoning, is that correct?
Yeah, there was a proposal made by the planning board in response to a caution that was carried to us by Ken Paul, and the indication was that there had been some pushback against some resource protection zoning in the town that was implemented in September 2012, and that there had been enough discussion to warrant Ken and the selectmen to be concerned that the number of abatements that would have to be granted would be to such a degree that it would start to incur harm to our assessed value tax base. We did a little homework on that. We got a record of the abatements from 2012 to the present day, which were 18 in number. Not one of those involved wetlands. So we're a little puzzled as to the reality of the.
But Tom, it isn't just abatement. It's the fact that you turn around and taking the right of somebody's use of their property away from them, okay? And,
This is still to
you
be
know,
determined. The original premise that that was explained as the reason for the selectmen's counter proposal was that we hadn't addressed the legal issues that might arise in terms of the issues of takings being levied against the town. So anyway, we're in a situation right now where we need to get back on track with the ability to at least have a discussion with the public at a sufficient number of times so that the public understands at least what they're voting.
are you saying that the selectmen said we couldn't have a public hearing?
I wasn't at the table when this occurred. This was a conversation between, I guess, the selectmen and Chip. And as I gleaned from Chip, they said, you can have the meeting, they're not prohibiting the meeting, but they're prohibiting the advertising. So we will somehow or other address that obstruction and carry on with our original recommendation. I don't quite understand the.
Yeah, I don't either, so. Yeah.
We'll always say-
Join the club.
But we do understand, but we don't agree.
So when is this meeting going to be? No one shows up?
I don't
It's not
know.
gonna be a
We have a
meeting.
meeting this coming Thursday at 7 to discuss the situation, and I'm going to propose to my fellow board members that we just pick up where we left off and carry forward as best we can with our recommendation to have a hearing. It would be billed as an informational hearing to precede the official public hearing on April 30th. This is not precedent setting by any means when we've had complex zoning issues or simple zoning issues where there are changes to the ordinance. We always try to have as many public hearings as the calendar permits to.
So that's the same night as the ambulance meeting?
It would be a little later though. We
No.
regularly convene at 7.
No,
It's not a hearing.
Oh, it's just a meeting.
regular meeting.
Meeting, okay.
This coming Thursday, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. all right.
the meeting you're talking about is the regular planning board meeting, and then.
No, this meeting that he's going to have
No.
this Thursday, right?
This Thursday is a regular planning board meeting, at which point we're going to.
They're just gonna discuss it.
If we're going to establish a newspaper or something, I'm not sure what we're going to do.
So,
You're
so
not
I
allowed
want
to
to hear
go.
from
He's not allowed to go
Rescue
downstairs.
and somebody as to the salt shed. Tom, is there someone else that, I don't know, what about the donations? Anybody want to hear anything from any of them as to further explanations?
I really think we have enough on our plate, Nancy, big time the other thing that I would like to discuss with everybody is this notion of carrying sums, especially operating capital, from one year to the next, as I've said before, and just something to keep in mind. As we move forward, the folks upstairs are very fond of carrying sums, and when those sums are operating sums, it makes it very, very difficult. First of all, when you vote at town meeting, you have no clue how much you're transferring or how much you're carrying, because the numbers are unaudited, although the treasurer may have an idea. But the other thing is, how do you keep track of how much you spend each year? You have no way of knowing, okay, without doing an awful lot of digging and tearing apart the numbers, and certainly the public doesn't have the time or inclination to do that. You need to cut off every operating fund at the end of the fiscal year and start with a new fund. And so you can go back and look and see.
I think you'll turn around and see, Tom, that this is where I made the changeover in the mid-90s, okay?
Yeah.
To gross budgeting.
Yeah, yeah.
And, but it was the old way of doing things.
I know we've done a lot of
And
deals.
it's called net budgeting, and generally the financial people turn out and tell you the preferred way is to go, you can manage the budget much better.
Also makes the accounting a lot easier.
But you turn around and see what has happened over in Shapley.
Yeah.
And they get millions of dollars of carried over funds. You know, it's just unbelievable, but,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Yes.
ask something of the group, since I'm the newest member. As far as donations are concerned, I had a very bad feeling when that was presented the other day about donations. It seems as though it's almost a list that's slowly but surely being added upon.
definitely.
And I guess my problem with that is that the total, I think, was $68,000 for donations. And yet we have a town that is having a great deal of challenges as far as being able to keep up with wages in comparison with other towns, at least in certain departments. We have employees who don't get a paid vacation. We have employees who have all sorts of other things that are deficient. And I'm just wondering whether or not we shouldn't look at that whole donation in a much more serious thing. We need to find out for Acton, how many of these agencies, it says we saw 23 people. That doesn't tell me anything. Did they see 23 people and an expenditure of how much monies for our 23 citizens that took their services? Was this a 1 hour hello, how are you, there's a cup of coffee? You have no idea whether or not we're truly giving to an organization that's making a positive effect in our town. And I still think that coming from outside where counties and states took over many of these things, what we have here are small towns that are actually required because of the need for our citizens to have special projects and special agencies to help them, and that we have to provide it ourselves as you would if you were a county or a big city.
That's correct.
Well, I think somebody, Tom, I think probably mentioned it Saturday, said one of the things that happened, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, where the county turned around and used to be the, and so all, the county cut it out.
For battered
and
women.
it ended up that the towns were the only ones that were available.
We're taking it up.
To provide these.
And of course, that's the town government's obligation, is to make sure that their citizens are protected. And I didn't see anything there about elder care, and yet this is one of the oldest towns in Maine, and Maine has the largest percentage of elderly of any state of the union. I didn't see elder care involved with anything.
Meals on Wheels, I think.
I saw Meals on Wheels on there, but again,
There used to be some Maine Agency on Aging, I
But
don't
there
know
is,
if they're still there.
there is, although that's, their funding is getting cut too. What you have to understand in the big picture here is, Mark, that New England states are unique. You understand this
I
about,
understand this.
okay, how the constitutions are created?
I understand this,
All right.
but it does show that as the 21st century gets more and more complex, and the population changes, that we need to look at other ways of doing this, like cutting out donations and getting more cooperation with our sister towns in this part of the county, and having regional or multi-city agencies to do this. Even if we had a social worker for clearinghouse for these things, we have no idea how many people get services from these reams of donation recipients.
YCCAC provides a lot of these services.
Everyone tells me that a particular agency does a great job, but I'd like to see the data.
Yeah.
And I just don't, there isn't any. And again, I pay donations to the Maine Public Radio, but I'm not sure that this town can afford to give $100 or $200 to Maine Public Radio. It's not for the benefit of our citizens that we are just giving out donations.
Well, that's something we could look at, but,
You can make the argument on the floor of the town meeting too and kill it all.
Actually, I would not kill it all, but I think that there's a lot of killing that could be done on that list.
One of the major costs that I think, has increased as the necessity has grown too, or as awareness has grown, is all the lake associations.
Absolutely.
Those never used to be on, but the lakes are.
Absolutely, and that's an important part of protection of our citizens as far as the environment is concerned.
And our tax base,
And our
because
tax
that's our
base.
highest
And
tax.
we have about seven
That-
lakes around here, and the amount that we donate to varies. And does it vary because of the people around the lake is highly populated? Is it based on square acres or acres of
whatever they
lake
request.
size?
They're the ones that makes the request.
I've never heard of that kind of financial system.
Well,
You're in New England.
some of the lakes are not part of an association or not
I-
getting those services. I think that's the main difference, it's, do you have a mouth, do you have a spokesperson?
And there was one lake that no longer did anything because I've read through it, I kept a note someplace there, that they quit doing everything except giving counsel to homeowners or something like that. But they're taking on no projects as far as pollution and soil seepage into the lakes and stuff like this.
the 22,000 that we give every year to the Lake Association, and they hire the kids to work,
Oh, Nelson.
That's good, yeah, yeah.
that 22,000 flies in the face of the Supreme Court ruling that you don't spend public money on private.
Well, that's a question that could be asked to get a legal opinion on.
Yeah.
Well, that part I don't know about as far as giving public money to private concerns, but I do think that we ought to have a uniform system with all these 7 or 10 lakes or whatever it is as to how we're doing it. And which lake seems to have the biggest challenges as far as pollution, as far as contamination by vegetation that shouldn't be there, and aim it at those perhaps temporarily over a 5-year period until the problem is mitigated. And
We've actually seen that happen. It was Mountain Lake that was on the borderline,
borderline.
going down.
Uh-huh.
And through the efforts of this lake association, it has been brought back.
Square also, I mean, I've been out on the square, it used to be blooms of algae out there sometimes during the sailing season.
But now I understand that the inspection program has been canceled.
They're not foil, they're not,
no
they
foil
go
one.
inspection.
Inspecting the boats before they put them in the water.
that was one of the other things I saw, yes, that had been,
And
That is unfortunate.
yes, it is unfortunate because
Well, this is the sort of thing that could be looked at over the course of the year.
yes, no, it's not gonna be decided, it's not gonna be decided with this year's
You bring up a
budget.
lot of good questions, but with all the other much higher priority items and the
I understand completely.
the time period for investigating it is becoming, less and less.
It's not for this year's budget to sit and ponder about these things, but it's something that we ought to make a statement on perhaps in the future, that our future course will be looking at this in a more objective way. As I said, $68,000 for donations is really bothersome
Yeah,
to
but
me
it's
when we have needs within our own town for doing proper labor, medical care, PTO or part-time compensation for vacation and sick leave, et cetera.
But this would be a perfect project for, we say, a committee to turn
I
around
agree.
and go and be tasked to turn around and get all his background and find out these details and then come in,
And what are the problems socially? And what can the town do in terms of encouraging cooperation with other towns for certain services?
oh, we don't want to do that.
Hmm?
We don't want to do that.
Understand.
We got a divorce in 1820 from our neighbors over here. And we don't forget those things.
Yes,
Tom, you were gonna say,
Quick point, before we adjourn on the lake issues, I think I've given everybody copies of this NRCM report entitled Troubled Waters. It frames the debate somewhat on the zoning proposals that are coming before the town in regards to the sense that we have lost support at the state level. The DEP, state DEP, Lake Protection Program no longer has our back as they did for the last 20 or 30 years. They have been dismantled more or less, as this report details very well. So it puts the onus of responsibility for care and maintenance of the lakes very squarely on the municipal bodies that surround it.
does Will have a copy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
okay, I have one remark that I would like to make, and then I will make a motion to adjourn, and that's this, looking back on what we've accomplished with the school budget. We haven't gotten as far as I would have liked, okay? But we have this whole bunch of contingency accounts out there, and we have the maximum amount each contingency account could possibly occur.
Spend.
All right? So my vision moving forward is that they all be condensed into one, and there's no likelihood anywhere that all the worst possible outcomes are going to occur in any one single year. So it's probable that that contingency fund account, once they are combined, can be cut by a half, certainly, and maybe down to a third of what it is now, and everybody will be fine and feeling secure. So that's kind of my objective looking forward to next year. I don't know how you folks feel about that, but I'm just laying it out there. Having said that, I will make a motion to go home to...
Before you do that, my question, to ask a question, was there anything in there that these funds for contingencies were going to have a maximum amount of dollars? So that if they didn't use it in a particular fiscal year, that in fact, they would not have to add to that.
What happens right now is that at the end of each fiscal year, those funds dissolve and they collapse back into the undesignated fund balance unless there is an article to carry them. Oh, yes.
No, these are not your operating funds, balances.
Why do people make a difference between the operating funds and those reserve funds? It's a fund created by the town meeting. One town meeting can't commit to the next. Okay?
See, this is one of the problems we have.
Right.
Is that there's still so much questions about,
Conflict as far as,
you know,
yes,
understanding what and how.
yes.
You know, and one of the problems we have, if you remember this letter that was given out late last week from Burke and Clegg, and all of a sudden, the whole first part of it, they were working on a problem that I don't think anybody questions.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So there's a question here. I would like to see that when we have a problem and somebody's gonna go to a lawyer, that we turn around and see the question first to make sure that they're asking the right question,
That would be a good idea.
you know? Because if, you know, if the person that's asking the question asks the wrong question, they're gonna get the wrong answer, but it may appease, you know, one group over here, but the other one, you know, and they're assuming that the answer is for the other.
Or it'll just continue the confusion on to.
Yeah, and
find
that
somebody
is
who agrees.
exactly what's happening to me right now, and I don't know if I'm coming or going. But,
Well, we've used, and this is part of the problem, we've used so many terms interchangeably in that a lot of
The
people.
terms, the terms are in conflict, that's right.
Right, and
Terminology.
we don't have, and then we have sets of terms that are used in common in accounting versus what the state has set aside for terms. So we have that conflict also, which is one of the reasons I went through all that paper. That was as much of an exercise for this as it was for you folks. I just shared the results of that when I could satisfy myself as to what I was thinking. And it's still marked draft if you look at it.
Okay, so you're willing to meet next week?
Yep.
And I will call the ambulance people in the fire department to see if they're willing to come in and,
Sounds like a good
you
plan.
know, bring us up to speed.
Should we
Where
sit
are
in on the
week.
ambulance meeting that's coming up on the 2nd?
What's that?
Should we sit in on the ambulance committee that's going to meet on Thursday?
Okay. For your information, Will, you are a member of the ambulance association. Every taxpayer.
taxpayer is a.
So you can sit there as a citizen?
Yep.
Okay, okay.
As a voting member, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was your motion, Tom?
No, but before he made it, I just want to make sure what we'll meet next week.
Yep.
Okay.
And if all of a sudden I can't get them, and I'll either have an alternate agenda or we turn around and we'll cancel it.
Okay.
A week from Monday.
We
I mean,
can-
this-
A week from
we can-
today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
They moved and seconded to adjourn?
Yep.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.